So you might have heard the news about the suicide that was committed by a 15-year-old boy. This suicide is linked to a game called Doki Doki Literature Club, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you are familiar with. The game is pretty popular, it's pretty big. It's been downloaded 2 million times on Steam. A lot more, probably. It's a free game. And it's a pretty big game. Back in 2017, back in the around October, around Halloween, and even in the subsequent months, it's been a pretty big game, a pretty big discussion. A lot of people are talking about it. And now it's on the news again. Even though, well, people just want to move on from the game. I myself want to move on from the game. But, well, people are talking about it again right now. Because someone committed suicide, and he just so happened to play Doki Doki Literature Club. If you guys don't know why people link Doki Doki Literature Club to the suicide, is because Doki Doki Literature Club deals with themes of suicide, self-harm, and an eerily realistic depiction of depression that leads into one of the characters to commit suicide. This entire thing is getting more and more horrifying, and it gets more and more depressing as time went on. The reason why I said that is because the people decided to focus on the game instead of why the son actually killed himself. And the more and more people talk about the game, the more and more misinformation comes out. For example, the father talked about how the game texts you at night, and how if you don't please one of the characters, they will get nasty at you. I don't know where that comes from. Clearly the father hasn't played the game. Clearly the father doesn't know anything about the game. And clearly he's grieving. And he's trying to find many other things to blame. It's just sad. The more and more I think about this, it's no longer stupid, it's just sad. And the worst thing that I found out about this is that the more and more people talk about Doki Doki instead of the real reason why the son committed suicide, the more and more people hide the truth. The more and more people decided to not talk about why the son committed suicide, what kind of medical history or psychological examinations. Did he suffer from depression? Did he suffer from mental illness? This sort of discussion doesn't happen at all. In fact, it's practically non-existent. If you Google the game Doki Doki Literature Club, you'll get tons and tons of news talking about the game and its apparent link to this suicide of this boy, instead of actually talking about more important things like depression, mental illness, the things that might lead to this boy committed suicide, bullying perhaps. We don't really know. The truth is buried somewhere beneath all of those. It's almost as if people decided not to be responsible about this and blame it on something that they know isn't their fault, isn't really the fault, isn't really the big factor that caused this horrible tragedy, but they decided to blame it anyway. Because it's the easier thing to talk about. And that's sad. That's just depressing. There's nothing more to say about this. I'm just saddened by this. I'm just depressed.